An expungement is the process of removing something from your background criminal record. When you're arrested, your arrest actually gets put not just in that parish's computer system or their system that you've been arrested. That ends up many times going all the way up to an FBI criminal database in Quantico, Virginia. There's a state police database. It goes pretty far-fetched. If you've ever been convicted, yeah, you have a record. Other states can find it. It goes into a nationwide system. If you have an expungement, which, like I said earlier, is the process to say, let me clean my background so that if I go to try and get jobs, this won't show up. And expungements are there for this reason, to basically help you grow, saying you learned from your mistake, you paid your price, and this is hampering you from moving forward with your life and being a more gainful member of society. Generally, if you don't know what an expungement is and you've been arrested, you can probably use one. If you've been convicted, if you pled guilty to anything, and you don't know what an expungement is, you need to call a lawyer and ask them, because it's basically a way to clean up your background and your record to reflect who you are now as opposed to who you were when you made those wrong decisions. People come to me all the time and say, Mr. Cullen, I need an expungement. I say, what for? I'm trying to get a job. Of course, and you're going to run your background check, and they might see you've been arrested, or they might see you've been convicted. Either one. If you've ever been arrested, it's on your record. If you've ever been convicted, it's on your record. If you ever want to go apply for a job, there's going to be a little question down there that says, have you ever been convicted? I don't think they're supposed to ask if you've been arrested. It always comes out. They'll always find it. I can find it online. You can clear that off. You can get your record expunged. There is a way to have it taken off. Don't wait. Don't be the guy who comes into my office and says, I need this expungement next week, I need it tomorrow. No, you need to come in. When you complete your sentence, when your sentence is completed for whatever you did, if you took a guilty plea or you were dismissed or whatever, when it's done, go talk to a lawyer about getting it expunged. I have a list. In fact, if you are a convicted felon, you forfeit almost 469 mandatory consequences to a felony guilty plea. You need an expungement. If you have this on your record, you're restricting yourself from employment. You're limiting your opportunities. There are other things like first offender pardons you can get that are automatic from the governor. Talk to your probation officer about those. We're talking today about expungements. So you have a DWI on your record. You have a misdemeanor possession of marijuana on your record. You might even have a felony on your record. There's a certain civil code article you could plea under that does some technicals like deferring the imposition of the sentence so that you can complete all the conditions of the sentence, and then you can have the sentence set aside and have your record expunged. It's stuff that's a little complicated, but to break it down for you, what happens is when your plea is done, if you took a guilty plea to a misdemeanor, it would be under Code of Civil Procedure, Article 894. And if it's a felony, it's covered under Article 893. And you could take a plea under one of these articles, which should enable you to get an expungement when you complete the conditions of your sentence. There are special rules if you have a DWI. If you have a DWI, you can't get that expunged until 5 years after completion of the sentence. So if you get a DWI today and you plead guilty in 6 months, say you did this as fast as you can, and your sentence was 18 months of probation, you're gonna be in 2 years before the 5 years in which you can get an expungement. So you're looking at, you get a DWI today, you're looking at maybe 7 years from now you can get it taken off your record. You might have seen a video earlier about diversion, and that might be another reason why diversion is not a bad thing. I can say this in my experience right now is one of the worst things you can get out there, the biggest headaches you can get right now is a DWI. And it's like that for a reason. Nobody wants drunk drivers on the road, and they make it to where if you get it, you do not want to get another one. So they have special rules for DWIs. There are special rules for violent crimes. They have certain technicalities, but to get something removed from your record, I've put together an instruction manual and the forms to do your own expungement. I have them at my office, I have them on Dropbox, I might have them to download. You're more than welcome to take them, print them, use them. They should work anywhere in Louisiana. They're not that complicated. I tend to think if you could do your own taxes, you could probably do your own expungement. It's gonna involve some homework. You're gonna have to go get a criminal background check from the sheriff's office. You're going to have to file the papers in the packet. You're going to need information like your bill of information, the minutes from the proceeds of the case and what took place. Have the information on whether or not you qualify for an expungement. And again, like anything with law, nothing's guaranteed, but if you get that expungement, your record isn't gone from everyone. If you are requiring any type of security clearance, a nurse's board, a pharmacist board, doctor's board, or Homeland Security, sheriffs, they can probably still see your background and see that arrest. But to the general public who would be applying or just looking through clerk's records or doing just basic civilian research, there should be no record anymore of that case, of the arrest, or of the conviction. In my opinion is if I was convicted of a crime and I had to go to jail, this is very close to a real instance I'm dealing with that I understand with a client, is tried his case, was found guilty, served his time, got out of jail, was on parole, finished his parole, got a job, worked for 7 years, tries to renew his job now, and they find this offense that he had committed, that he went to jail for from 1992, and they're telling him they can't rehire him. Now here's a man who, whether he committed the crime or not, maintained his innocence to the point of having a jury convict him, did his time, paid his price to society, got out, made it through parole, which is not an easy feat in and of itself, got a job, got a good job, a career, worked there. But the regulations say if you were convicted of this crime in the past, they can't hire you. Well, it's unfair equally. That's what I'm being told now. I'm fighting this, but this is absurd. This is the type of things where people are paying. How many times does he have to pay for the crime he committed in 1992? We're in 2017. That's 15 years. No, 20 years, 25 years. Is it? 25 years. Gotta do math. That's a long time. And didn't he pay his price? Didn't he do what he was supposed to do to repay his debt to society? But you're still punished. This is why, as a convicted felon, you need this. Now, you could also look at this and say, look how long he had to get this expunged. That's why I'm doing this video, is to say, don't wait. Get the expungement when you can. Now, the expungement laws are changing every year, so I've made pamphlets and I've made writings on expungements that are already no good. So you have to stay on top of these because some years the laws will be different. For some of these expungements, you have to look at the law at the time it was written. It's been changed so many times, it becomes a pretty delicate field. Nobody's in Baton Rouge preaching how to help convicted citizens. You know, people get elected by telling you how hard they are on crime, not how soft. And therefore, these expungements are getting harder and harder. So that's where it's my advice. Get them done now.